Hey guys, welcome to the Cedar Culture Podcast. I'm Gary. This is Eric. And today we are going to be talking about how cigars add value to our lives. And while we're talking about that, we are going to be smoking the Drew Estate 2020 Year of the Rat Limited Edition.
Let's bundle these leaves and burn them and suck on them.
So, You're the Rat, super interesting stick. Started out as very limited, as a special release. Was it at the Florida Panthers or whatever the hockey team is?
The National Hockey Team of Florida.
The NHL team at their stadium, right?
The BB&T, Drew Estate, when they were a smaller company, they had that was their smoking lounge.
Yeah,
which
the
is
lounge.
really, really cool.
Yeah. And so that was back in 2016 when it came out. Initially, you could only get it there. Obviously, they started coming out in the secondary market. People were able to get them other places.
Right.
Also interesting, we did a little bit of research coming into today. We were both new to this. The sticks, we've never had it. And what was really interesting is that it has nothing to do with the Chinese New Year. At least it didn't at first.
Right. I think this re-release is how they they are marketing it more towards that. But you're absolutely right. It's more with the hockey team being the Panthers. I was like, how is there a rat connection?
Well,
so
yeah.
Very interesting.
And as it turns out, one of the players before a game killed a rat in the locker room with a stick. Went on to score 2 goals in that game.
Correct.
And then as a play on the 3 goals of being a hat trick, another teammate called that a rat trick.
That's right.
It stuck with the fans. And so...
and that was a good run for 95, 96 for the Panthers. They made it to the Stanley Cup. So that was like their first franchise time. So, it was celebratory.
It's really interesting. And I think for us, even more kind of special in that it's very much a stick of anniversaries in that it came out. It was a 10-year anniversary of that event with the rat trick. And then 4 years after that, 2020, this year, they release it more of a mass release, still limited.
Right.
Actually coincides with the Chinese zodiac of Year of the Rat. But let's get into the stick.
Absolutely.
So first smell, before we even cut it, what do you get besides gold tin foil?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I'm actually excited to get the foil off and like kind of take a look and see what the beautiful.
Let's do that.
has.
Let's open her up. There we go. Got the tape off. Got the foil off.
Oh yeah, it's a much better.
Oh geez, what are you smelling?
I get a nice chocolatey, almost like a milk chocolate. It's off the wrapper.
I definitely get that too. Do you get? I don't know if this is weird, but almost like a jerky. smell.
Okay.
All right, let's cut her. Let's cut her. I want to.
I like the feel. I like the feel of the wrapper as well. So I'm gonna do a cut over here.
Nice. All right. What are you sucking on?
I get a lot of sweet, earthy but sweet.
Yeah. I get some figs, some prunes.
Yeah, I definitely fig, even some nuts, like a nutty feel to it.
You're nuts.
Nuts about you, buddy. I'm gonna toast mine and see.
Go ahead, light her up. What's your first thought besides the draw on the taste?
I'm getting the earthy notes, the leather notes, some chocolate in there.
A fucking cap.
Definitely the dried fruit too. Really?
Seriously? That's on a V cut too.
Just as you start to smoke your way through the cigar world, you start to just note things about construction and how a cigar is, and we like it when our wrappers stay on, especially the cap.
So that's disappointing. I'll fix that kind of in a minute here, probably just with some chapstick. Because for me, it's really not a big deal. It doesn't affect the taste at all, having that cap a little loose. But I don't know, the mouthfeel is
you don't get a full draw,
annoying.
and you want it to be a relaxing experience.
I'll tell you what, I like it though.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like sometimes it takes a few real nice puffs to get into the flavors, and like I immediately got hit with the flavors.
So I found, because sometimes you get these cap issues, a little bit of chapstick, I put it under the cap and then kind of glue it down like a glue stick on top too. And it tends to last pretty well. Holds up while I'm smoking it usually. Yeah. But now I'm going to be made a liar because it's not going to work. But
and
yeah, look, it just kind of stays on there.
There you go. and kind of holding true to the Drew Estate name. I mean, just pouring off smoke, which is nice. Always adds to the ambiance of the experience.
I can already tell. I haven't even taken a sip yet, but I can already tell this is going to
pair well. I'm excited to get one or two more hits and then try my cream as well. Good.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that's the great. I mean, we'll definitely talk into how cigars add value to our lives, but I can tell you, I'm not sure when this will be viewed, but it was a Thursday for me at work, and I really found myself like texting back and forth with Eric. I was anticipating just the time that we were going to spend smoking and smoking a cigar we've never had, and a higher end cigar. So I was definitely excited.
And we talked about how this is like a kind of a good, a good anniversary stick or a good stick to memorialize something by. It's our first episode, which is awesome.
It's a 2020 release. We're releasing in 2020, so I think it fits a lot of ways.
One of the things we talk about a lot when we just talk about smoking is how it plays off of a few different senses. You get the smell, the taste, and feel.
Absolutely.
That touch too. Just you get used to feeling that in your hands. There's something about it. It just brings you back. It's like when you listen to a song,
puts you where you were. That.
And the thing is, we're always going to remember shooting our first episode anyway. And then we will never forget that it was the year of the rat.
That's absolutely correct.
And even if we don't think about it,
right?
Even if we don't think about it for a while, you could have one of these 2 years from now. It could be the next one you have, and
bring it
brings
back.
us right back. So it's a good way to segue, I think, into the topic for the value and what cigar smoking brings to our lives.
I think I couldn't have said it any better myself, but
it's a good thing I said it then.
Yeah, really nice. This is enjoyable. Really, really tasty.
It's really enjoyable. So, we'll be a little bit all over the place. It's not going to be a linear story. It's probably not going to be a linear podcast in every episode. We're not linear people.
We're not linear people.
But let's talk about how we started smoking cigars together.
Sure.
Right? So you were already smoking cigars before me. And I had noticed, though, I had found out later, I guess you'd been smoking cigars for a couple of years, a little bit more casually. You were starting to ramp up smoking a little bit more. And you had this sort of routine where it seemed like almost every day you would post a picture on Facebook.
Right.
And you and I hadn't really talked in a while. We'd been, like we said earlier, we've been friends for 9 years now. I have no kids. You have 3 kids. Like, we're just very different lives.
We talk about non-linear.
Yeah.
Right? But that doesn't mean like the friendship was always there. It was just life got very busy.
And it's crazy
for obviously the both of us.
I mean, for a while, we would see each other every year or two,
right.
And we would say the same thing every time, right? That
so good seeing you.
So good seeing you. You're like a brother to me. You're one of my best friends. Yep, but I see or talk to you every 2 years, but you are. And so. Anyway, so on this particular day, at the end of June 2020, I had talked with my boss, and we had decided that it was time for, after 7 years, that I was going to move in a different direction with my career and go somewhere else. And that day, after, again, 7 years, helping, being a part of growing this awesome startup, and I decided that I was going to go buy a couple cigars and a bottle of bourbon, which was incredibly odd.
Right.
Because the way I put it is that I had said no to more cigars than I had said yes to in my life prior to that.
I remember you texting me that.
Yeah, you're at a wedding or just with some friends and they're smoking cigars, and I would say, when I would be offered a cigar, 7 or 8 out of 10 times, I would say, no, thank you, I'm not really a cigar smoker. So odd that on this particular day, this kind of momentous day in my life, I decided to kind of memorialize this with, I'm going to go buy a couple cigars. I walk into the cigar shop. I have no idea what I'm buying.
Very overwhelming experience.
Very overwhelming experience. I mean, it's like walking into a liquor store these days or a beer store and seeing a wall of all these craft beers with all these different labels, and you have no idea. One of the sticks that I had picked up was a Tabacco Especial, Dolce. I'm smoking it.
Also Drew Estate.
I decide that I'm going to text you, and because I know I'd seen you posting for a while, I'd send you a picture, and you happen to say that particular cigar was one of the cigars that contributed, in your early days to you really starting to fall in love with cigars, along with some other Drew Estate cigars.
Right.
Super interesting. And then I smoke another cigar the next day, and then the next day, and here we are.
Yeah.
Now we're starting a podcast together.
I remember when you were like, well, we'll see if I get into it. Because I was like, oh, well, maybe we'll set you up with a humidor and we'll talk. And you're like, let's see if
it sticks.
Let's see if let's see if this whole stick
I think
thing
within
sticks.
30 days, I had a humidor with 100 cigars.
And that's another thing. Like I talk to guys in the cigar world, we've talked about it. It's almost like I've characterized it as the adult version of collecting baseball cards, right? You're going to have your rare gems in here, your ones that you could trade with your buddies. And it's fun immersing and having a collection and kind of looking into it and, rearranging your cigars.
Oh my gosh. The joy that it brings. It's
mail
immense.
call. I see on Facebook, mail call, especially in the Drew Estate
It's Christmas.
community. It is.
And even though you're buying the gift for yourself, when it comes in the mail, it's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But sort of, I guess getting back to, I had texted you, and within a week you came over and we had a couple cigars together,
Mm-hmm.
and it really rekindled our friendship.
Absolutely. So I'm talking about adding value to our life. I mean,
I'm the most valuable thing that could be added to your life, and it's because of cigars.
Priceless. You are priceless. No, it's true. I started out as a wedding cigar smoker, and I was always afraid to go into a cigar shop because a little bit to be dangerous, but not enough to have any real
lost my
knowledge. It happens.
It happens.
I saw a meme the other day. It was like, why do we even have ashtrays? The ash always falls on my lap or anything. I'm trying to get a good ash.
Well, sometimes you get 3 inches of ash without even thinking about it, and sometimes you get a half. Sometimes you lose your whole cigar.
You lose the whole stick.
Sometimes you drop your whole stick.
We're gonna end up burning the set down now. You're ashing over there, I'm ashing over here. Again, we've both ashed, none of it in the ash, right?
No. Wow.
So, inaugural podcast, no ashes.
More value that cigar brings to your lives is
Yeah.
laughs.
Oh,
laughs
absolutely.
with good friends.
And I mean, for me personally, I'm a scatterbrain. I'm all over the place, 100 thoughts at once. It really forces me to sit down for that hour, concentrate on what I'm doing, hopefully not drop the cigar too many more times. But like you said, the feel of the cigar, how it feels in your mouth, how the smoke tastes. Like this, I'm getting like a creamy smoke off this, and just sitting and being able to spend an hour with your senses and, something nice to drink, maybe a little music on, maybe some good conversation, and just enjoy that hour. I'm not worrying about what cigar I smoked yesterday. I'm not worrying about what cigar I'm going to smoke tomorrow. I'm focused on this little bundle of burning leaves, and it's a cool thing. It's a really cool thing.
We're kind of getting into that second third now, almost too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm liking it more and more as it goes along.
Yeah.
How about you?
I am getting a little bit more of the pepper. I don't know if you're starting.
I was just
I'm
going to say
a little bit ahead of you.
You are a little bit ahead of me. I was going to say
you were blabbering on while I'm sitting back enjoying.
that's true, but
Not a lot of things shut me up, but a good cigar.
I was going to say
shut.
it feels a little like it's mellowing out to me.
Okay, and that's another part of the experience. Like you said, you're going to read a review of a cigar, and there's going to be 10 notes, and whether you're retrohaling, whether you're new to cigars, and trying to keep the smoke in without coughing.
The thing that's crazy, I don't think I'll ever know what I would quantify as a lot about cigars, given how much there is to know. Like, you can get deep. I talked about Drew Estate, then Liga Único Serie. Like, this is one little line of cigars. And then you start talking about you can slice and dice it by the shapes that they come in.
Right.
And sometimes in different shapes, the kind of ratio of tobaccos will be different. Sometimes it'll be more the same. And so you can get, if they do happen to change the ratios a little bit per the size,
right?
I mean, you wind up getting into this dozens of kind of matrix, dozens of different types of cigars within one line of cigars. There's just too much to know. And then you have your leaves that are coming from all different countries, different types of tobacco, different lengths of time being aged.
Absolutely.
So therefore, different colors, different kind of strengths as it's aged and whatnot. Put that on different size cigars. And that's all within one line of cigars.
Right. And I think that's one of the things we hope kind of shines through on this podcast, that we want to make cigars more accessible. We want the everyday cigar smoker who, whether you're smoking a Black and Mild from a gas station, to a really rare Cuban that you've been saving and aging for 10 years, it's about enjoying that moment. So since that second third where it was really peppering up, it's mellowed down, and now I'm getting more nutty.
I never got that second wave of pepper. I don't think, but
Sorry.
it's still quite enjoyable. I mean, I feel the pepper kind of mounting a little bit on my tongue, but I think that's just more of an indication of smoking half the cigar, not necessarily getting more pepper halfway through it.
I like hearing you say mounting.
Mounting.
that added value to my life. So where else do you? So I'm trying to kind of continue the theme of adding value, but I know we were joking before we started filming. Like, I know it's taken value away from my bank account because we talk about it being a hobby. Obviously,
it's not a cheap hobby.
It's not a cheap hobby, but if you can team up with a couple guys, like obviously, friends that have similar tastes. Like we were just talking before we hit record about, hey, do you want to split this bundle of 10? Like we found it online, pretty decent price.
Which I'm super excited for.
So, and that's another thing, like where I used to be the guy that bought, I'm going to buy a box of cigars or a bundle of cigars, and I'm going to smoke these 20 cigars because this is a cigar I know I like, And then once your kind of fear subsides, you start to go, hey, well, listen, I'm going to buy 10 of these. You buy 10 of those, and we're going to swap 5 of them each. I'll even see you, if you're on Facebook, obviously people know social media. You can find ways to trade and fun ways to buy cigars or get yourself some cigars.
I don't deal with going to the post office, though, so you're the only person I really trade with and share with. But
when you see someone that getting something, I'm like, ooh, I hope he got more than 2 or 3 because I definitely want to.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
We see all the time. I'll see on Facebook, you win something or buy something from somebody, and I'll text you right away. I'd be like, save one for me. Like, that looks cool. Or it's kind of the inverse.
Or it's kind of already known. I'm like, all right, I have 5.
Well, I was going to say, or it's the inverse where you're texting me, be like, yo, I just got these. I'm going to save you one.
Right.
And if you think about that, like, again, it could be widgets, baseball cards, like not cigars necessarily, but that sort of shot of endorphins or dopamine or whatever it is, that excitement, and you want to share it with somebody. That adds so much value and enriches your friendships much.
Think of when you find this little hole in the wall pizza place, and you're like, oh man, have you
like Domino's?
Domino's.
Have you had
Domino's?
That Italian joint.
So it's a fancy Italian place. But like if you're like, hey, Domino's has a new whatever, you're like, oh man, I want to really try that.
So I was recapping a conversation to you that I had with somebody else, and they were asking me sort of about this topic, like, why do you like cigars? And I was telling them kind of some of this similar stuff we were talking about here today. And then their response was, oh, yeah, but I get that with cigarettes. And my response to that was, there's a major difference where after having a satisfying cigarette, the next thing that's on your mind is kind of when you're going to get that next cigarette. Maybe not consciously, but like that's how it works, right? Like you finish a cigarette and it's kind of like on to your next. Whereas with cigars, when I finish a really good cigar, all I'm doing is thinking about that cigar and reflecting on that last hour.
I'm kind of sad that it's like
you're coming into your last third.
Into my last third here. Look at that, we kind of caught up.
We did. I was puffing like a champ trying to catch up to you. Not really. I was just enjoying the cigar.
I'm still getting like now that the final third has kind of started. It's definitely. I think we went from like a medium body. I'm starting to get a full experience out of it.
It is. I would agree with that. It's the mouthfeel sort of rounding out, filling up a little bit more full flavored. I'm still not getting the pepper though. I mean, I get a little bit of it, but but like I said, I think it's accumulated on my palate kind of through the smoke. I don't think there's a ton of pepper anywhere in there for me.
And I'm getting like a long lasting. Like sometimes you smoke, you take a puff, and as you breathe out, like the flavor kind of goes with it. It's like staying.
I think that's kind of I think that's kind of where I was getting at too, with saying like, the flavors become a little more full, like, which is, the world of cigars is interesting because just 2 months ago, if somebody said that to me, I would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. The smoke fills my mouth every time. What are you talking about?
Right.
That's part of the journey.
Right.
It's part of the journey. And so now when I say that taste, that flavor is really filling up my mouth, I know what it means. Nobody else might know what it means. Right. But
I'm used to when I talk. Not a lot of people know what I mean. So
that's true.
I'm comfortable with that.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely go ahead and drop us a comment. Tell us about what cigars mean to you, about the value that they've added to your life. If you're listening to this on maybe Apple or Spotify podcasts, go hit us up on Instagram, Cedar Culture. and send us a message. We would love to hear from you guys. We'd love to make this a bit of an inclusive experience and kind of hear from others about what cigars have brought to their life. So let's final thoughts on this. Wrap this guy up, and
so I would say my final thought is a couple things. Very enjoyable smoke, very memorable smoke. First podcast, 2020 Year of the Rat, Drew Estate, 2020 First Cedar Culture podcast. Anniversary stick from our friendship, but definitely would smoke this again. I think it earmarks a nice time for us, but I would like to revisit this again, maybe
absolutely
in the future, to kind of see how it changes and develops. But yeah, I'm very impressed with, like you said, the accessibility of it and the ease of smoking. Like no harshness, smooth, full of flavor.
I'm excited to try some of the other like Unico series, Liga Unico series, because from what we're reading, this isn't necessarily even what a lot of people would call their favorite of the Unico series. Right. So really look forward to trying some of the others from that box. Mm-hmm. I actually do have another Year of the Rat in the humidor, so look forward to trying that again in the future. Definitely a recommend.
Yeah.
Very approachable. I think pretty much everybody would like this stick. You know, even if you like something lighter, you would like this. If you like something more full flavored, the kind of Maduro, you would like this. If you're newer to smoking, you would like this.
It still has that sweetness of the Connecticut broadleaf and that Maduro style. So I think a lot of people would enjoy it.
I mentioned earlier, as a test of whether or not I think it's a good cigar is when I put it down, do I want another? And I could say that if I had another one, if I had an abundance of Year of the Rat sitting here, if I had 20 of them in my humidor, I would very much want to go light another one up right now.
And we hope we added to your experience today, listening and watching. And we're excited to what we can bring in the future.
Absolutely. So as always, long ashes.
Stay smoky, friends.
Thanks for checking out the Cedar Culture Podcast. If you like that episode, go ahead, tap, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your platform of choice. And if you are on YouTube, hit that bell as well to be notified of new episodes. It really helps us out. We appreciate it.
And then don't forget to head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow us as well.
Do it.
Do it.